How to Keep People from Pushing Your Buttons. The author of this book is Albert Ellis, a renowned American psychologist. In a ranking of the most influential applied psychologists by American and Canadian psychological associations, the well-known Sigmund Freud ranked third, while this book's author, Albert Ellis, took second place. Ellis's major contribution was developing Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, REBT, which laid the foundation for modern cognitive behavioral therapy. This theory and therapy method is a mandatory course for psychotherapists in many countries, including major psychological institutions worldwide. He dedicated his life to helping people resolve psychological and emotional issues, and his emotional therapy has helped countless individuals overcome their emotional struggles. The book's greatest contribution is its classification of negative emotions, analyzing the source of each type and providing coping methods. Ellis identified 4 types of excessive negative emotions. The first is excessive anxiety, including tension, depression, irritation, worry, and fear. For example, feeling extremely nervous about a job interview, becoming agitated when speaking to a difficult boss, or feeling frustrated about your child's recent behavior. These emotions indicate you're being controlled by others or circumstances. The second is excessive anger, including defensiveness, rage, fury, and feelings of frustration. This might occur when your partner criticizes your parenting style, when your teenager shows disrespect, or when colleagues don't cooperate at work. The third is excessive depression, manifested as lethargy and dejection. After losing a loved one, experiencing heartbreak, or losing a job, you might feel constantly down and unmotivated, unable to function normally. This shows these events are controlling you. The fourth is excessive guilt, characterized by over-responsibility, extreme remorse, and self-blame. For instance, feeling guilty about how divorce affects your children, or staying in a relationship with someone you don't truly love because you're their only friend. The author states that in 85% of cases, people can recognize when they're overreacting, as this judgment is instinctive. In the remaining 15%, while you might not realize your behavior is excessive, others around you likely can. Ellis's Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, ABC model. A. Activating event, situations, or people that trigger you. B. Beliefs about the event. C. Consequences, your emotional and behavioral responses. The 4 negative emotions we just discussed, excessive anxiety, anger, depression, and guilt, are all consequences, C. However, we often make the mistake of thinking our negative emotions and extreme reactions are directly caused by the activating event, A. For example, when you're stuck in traffic for an hour and a half on the highway, preventing you from preparing for a company meeting, you angrily complain, "This whole day is ruined." It seems like the traffic jam and missed meeting caused your bad mood. Is that really the case? While it appears so on the surface, the truth is different. Your reaction, B, to the traffic jam led to your emotional and behavioral consequences, C. If you viewed the traffic situation differently, the outcome would be different. Traffic jams are frustrating, but if you choose to see them as a normal part of life, you won't get as angry, at least not enough to ruin your entire day. With this mindset, you can not only improve your emotional state, but also find practical solutions, like scheduling travel or meetings at more suitable times. Ellis emphasizes that C, your emotions, isn't directly caused by A, events or people, but by B, your perspective. When you have a different understanding of a situation, your view changes, ultimately leading to different feelings and behaviors. The author uses an example of the Harlem Globetrotters. During their performance, 2 players pretend to argue, and one splashes water in the other's face. The second player then grabs a bucket with unknown contents and threatens to dump it on the audience. The children's reactions perfectly demonstrate how B leads to C. Children who had seen the show before knew the bucket contained candy, so they eagerly shouted, "Go ahead, dump it." Those unfamiliar with the act ducked behind others, protecting their heads. In this example, the same scenario, A, led to completely different reactions, C, because of different beliefs, B. The contrasting responses stemmed from different levels of understanding and awareness. This is the core of Ellis's Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, which we discussed in Controlling Anger. Understanding the ABC model reveals that B, your thinking patterns or reaction modes, is always the key factor. Ellis identified 3 faulty thinking patterns that lead to C. 1. Catastrophizing. 2. Absolutistic thinking. 3. Rationalization. Let's examine catastrophizing first. It's the tendency to imagine the worst possible outcomes. For example, before an interview, you might think, what if I can't answer the questions? What if I'm not qualified? What if I fail this interview? With such thoughts, you'll be tense and unable to perform at your best. The author notes that teenagers are particularly prone to catastrophizing. What if the girl I like doesn't like me back? What if I fail the test? What if my classmates think I'm a nerd for studying too much? Adults often catastrophize in relationships too. When tension rises with your partner and arguments become frequent, you might think, maybe they don't love me anymore. Have I become unattractive? Are they getting tired of me? Could they have fallen for someone else? What if we can't fix this? What if we keep fighting like this? What should I do after breaking up? One serious consequence of catastrophizing problems is that you become overly worried and neurotic, losing rational judgment of situations. When you view problems this way, it affects how you handle things and your attitude, inevitably leading to skewed results. The situation might actually develop in the direction you're worried about. The second incorrect thinking pattern is absolutist thinking, or shoulds. What are shoulds? It's thoughts like, I should not be like that. I should have done this. I should have done that. Think about it. Don't we often think this way in life? I should do better. I must win that company's business. I should be earning this much money. Someone who constantly thinks in terms of shoulds creates tremendous pressure for those around them. Think about it. Do you know anyone like this? They typically have very high standards for themselves, constantly telling themselves, I should do this. I must do that. They continuously set goals for themselves, and after imposing these should requirements on themselves, they start imposing them on others. You should do this. Ellis believed that thinking in terms of shoulds is the worst form of extreme reaction. This thinking pattern not only puts enormous pressure on ourselves, but also transfers that pressure to those around us. To break free from the harmful effects of this thinking pattern, we need to look at what has happened from a different perspective. We need to accept it rather than excessively demanding of ourselves. I should have done that. Things shouldn't be this way. The third incorrect thinking pattern is the other extreme, called rationalization. What is rationalization? It's accepting everything as reasonable. That's just how it is. Who cares? Nobody takes it seriously. So what? That's just who I am. Can't help it. It's fine. I understand. It's normal. I can't do it. I was born this way. They believe there's no room for improvement in anything, and effort is pointless. Ellis believed that when we rationalize, we're actually dealing with problems weakly and avoiding the real issues. Once these 3 incorrect thinking patterns become habits, they lead to various forms of suffering in our lives. Ellis summarized 10 common irrational beliefs, all resulting from these incorrect thinking patterns: catastrophizing, shoulds, and rationalization. Some people might focus on one type, while others combine several. Let's look at them. First, caring too much about others' opinions. For example, I look like such a failure to others. How embarrassing. When you have such thoughts and care too much about others' opinions, you're catastrophizing their views. Second, unable to tolerate failure in important tasks. For example, college entrance exams, important work projects, or significant relationships. Failure in any of these seems unacceptable. Feeling suicidal after a failed relationship, wanting to quit your job after a failed project. These are examples of shoulds, believing you must succeed and everything must be perfect. This creates extremely high demands and enormous pressure. Everything should unfold exactly as I want it to. If it doesn't, it's terrible. This is another example of shoulding. Fourth, when something goes wrong, I must find someone to blame and lecture them about it. For instance, if there's a mistake at work, I have to track down who's responsible and see who didn't follow my instructions. They must be dealt with. Another classic case of shoulding. Fifth, constantly worrying about future events reflects both catastrophizing and shoulding. It's excessive anxiety about failure or imperfection. Sixth, believing there's a perfect solution for every problem and that I must find it immediately is typical shoulding. The pursuit of perfect answers often leads to paralysis and frustration. Seventh, the healthy approach is to seek improvement, do your best, and understand that this often leads to the best outcomes. Eighth, avoiding difficulties and responsibilities is easier than facing them. This is considered the most destructive rationalization. We might convince ourselves to always stay on the sidelines, but this means missing all opportunities for achievement. Ninth, thinking, if I never fully commit and keep everything at arm's length, I'll always be happy. This is classic rationalization, similar to the previous point, a passive attitude of avoidance. Keeping distance from everything prevents any meaningful accomplishment. 10th, believing my past experiences, childhood, or recent events have made me who I am, and I can't change despite my efforts. This combines catastrophizing, shoulding, and rationalization. It justifies current negative emotions, anxiety, anger, depression, guilt, frustration, pain, as reasonable and unchangeable. However, we can resist and revise our view of the past and adjust these negative emotions to take positive action. 11th, thinking bad people and things shouldn't exist and I don't know what to do when they do. This might trigger anger again. Classic shoulding, believing that anger-inducing situations shouldn't happen, leaving anger as the only response. These 10 misguided life principles and the 3 incorrect thinking patterns represent the B in the ABC model. These faulty beliefs lead to problematic consequences. See excessive irritability, anger, depression, and guilt. By now, we should understand that we often fall into these negative emotions because we use incorrect thinking patterns to view situations and analyze problems. What's the right approach? Ellis offers a 4th option, eliminating the 3 incorrect methods, catastrophizing and shoulding. Rationalization. Ellis provided a better approach, making better choices for ourselves. We always have the right to choose. When you feel depressed or angry about something, want to slam the table, yell at others, blame yourself, or even consider self-harm or suicide, you might feel trapped with no options. But in reality, you always have better choices available. Ellis proposed a 2-step solution. First, ask yourself, what would be a better way to handle this? What could I do to improve the situation? Second, if you can't achieve what you want, it's okay to accept the outcome. The first step teaches you to make better choices, while the second step helps you learn to accept results. So how can we make better choices? Ellis outlined 4 steps. 1. Reflect on why negative emotions are arising. 2. Examine your thoughts from 3 perspectives, your own, others, and the current relationship. 3. Consider how to counter negative emotions. 4. Ask yourself if there are better choices available. The author illustrates these steps through a specific example. Take Joan, who's been feeling extremely irritable and angry due to relationship problems with her partner. How should she address this? Step 1 starts with C, your current emotional state. Ask yourself, how extreme have my feelings and behaviors been lately? Am I getting angry without reason? Am I experiencing insomnia or avoidance? Step 2 examines B, your beliefs. What am I thinking that's making me so unhappy? Joan might say, why is he being so cold to me? He's not taking me seriously. Am I not as lovable as before? Did I do something wrong? What if our relationship keeps getting worse? Well, if he doesn't care about me, I won't care either. Here we can see Joan's thoughts showing catastrophizing, demanding, and rationalizing patterns. Step 3 focuses on challenging irrational thinking. Joan might think, he does seem distant right now, though I'm not sure why. I could talk to him about it, understand if there are any misunderstandings or issues, and then work on solutions. The final step, what alternatives can I choose instead of catastrophizing, demanding, and rationalizing? Joan ultimately concluded, I would like him to be more caring and appreciative, but if he can't do that right now, I will continue to explore what I want from this relationship and see what I can do to improve it. I'll find ways to communicate with him, understand his thoughts and situation better, to make things work. If things don't improve, I might consider leaving, but only after I've made a genuine effort. When Joan started thinking this way, her entire attitude and lifestyle changed. She no longer had extreme emotional reactions. If you approach problems like Joan did, you'll find yourself becoming calmer instantly. Most importantly, when you do this, you're not deceiving yourself that things will definitely improve. You're simply taking positive action and seeing how things unfold. If things move in a positive direction, you continue your efforts. If not, you consider your next steps. Regarding the final outcome, use Ellis's approach. Take action while remaining detached. Don't fall into the trap of self-help mantras like, I must be the best, I must make him love me deeply, or I must succeed at all costs. Because effort doesn't guarantee success, and sometimes success is beyond your control. If it doesn't work, let it go. Don't be too attached. Flexibility is crucial. It's like the ancient wisdom. Do your best and leave the rest to fate. When you maintain inner peace, you're less likely to be controlled by others, and your emotions won't be constantly swayed by them. Following Ellis's methodology, you can easily adjust your negative emotions, calm down, and start thinking rationally. Let's review the core elements of Ellis's method. First, we often encounter 4 types of negative emotions in life: excessive anxiety, excessive anger, excessive depression, and excessive guilt. What causes these extreme emotions? Mainly our faulty thinking patterns. There are 3 common incorrect thinking patterns: catastrophizing, shoulds and musts, and rationalization. These thoughts lead to our emotional loss of control. So what's the correct way of thinking? It's about making better choices. Ellis provided 4 steps. Step 1. Reflect on why I'm experiencing negative emotions. Step 2. Examine my thoughts from 3 perspectives: my own, others, and the current relationship's perspective. Step 3. Consider how to counter negative emotions. Step 4. Ask yourself what better choices you can make. Find positive attitudes and rational thinking patterns, take action to improve, and maintain an open mind about the results. If goals aren't achieved, accept the outcome without excessive attachment. In essence, Ellis's greatest contribution to psychology lies in transforming complex cognitive processing methods into manageable steps. This systematic approach enables therapists to effectively guide their practice, while allowing individuals struggling with negative emotions to follow these steps methodically. Through this process, they can better understand and improve their emotional state. May this knowledge help you break free from the cycle of having your emotions controlled by others.